Hello everyone, today is 18th of August, Sunday, so I hope you have a wonderful day. Now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on today, about 5 o'clock, if no technical issues, then I will have a traditional Sunday live stream, community chat, and I hope you will join the conversation. Of course, I will post about live stream some 30 minutes before stream starts on my Telegram and also on community page on YouTube. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And of course, focus of Russian media and media worldwide is still on Kursk region of the Russian Federation, which was invaded by Q regimes, NATO and forces, and also foreign mercenaries 2 weeks ago. And currently, as I said in previous updates, situation is under operational control of the Russian troops, and clearing operation is underway, and more settlements are being liberated from invading force. There are plenty of videos on internet of destroyed and neutralized armored groups, maneuverable armored groups of Q regime that were entering different settlements on initial stages of this incursion, and there are increased number of troops of Q regime that are surrendering, including entire units, and also more and more videos of neutralized invaders in forestry areas where they were trying to move around without being noticed. But Russian troops, by the way, know how to deal with these groups now, and the traps being created all along the line of contact. And I shared many videos of destruction of these Kiev regime forces in the Kursk region, but with always, with warnings that it's a graphic video. But there are also some cases when I cannot even share on my Telegram videos. That's how graphic it is. Aftermath of the close range combat, when a significant number of Kiev regime troops will get neutralized. For example, this morning media outlets are reporting about another platoon of Kiev regime that was exterminated in the Kursk region as a result of close range combat. Videos are circulating, but I'm not sharing that on my Telegram. Probably you already seen on some other channels, but as I said, man, there are some videos that are, too graphic, really. So yes, overall situation is under Russian control. Clearing operation is underway, and out of desperation, I guess, Kiev regime troops are now creating these fake videos that they enter at this settlement and that settlement. And for example, yesterday, I believe, Kiev regime started sharing some fake videos that they are in control of Kamarovka settlement, and also Gardjevka settlement, this one here. And Russian troops made videos in the center of these villages and were asking, where are you? Invaders show up. So yes, simultaneously with the military hostilities, these media psyop operations are taking place, and the Kiev regime is still trying to convince I don't know, their Western masters probably, that they still are advancing and conducting some offensive operations, when in reality Kiev regime's invading force clearly run out of steam. They are no longer able to even hold on to positions they initially controlled, and as I said from very first day, just give it another couple of weeks and Russian forces will finish clearing operation in this area, and only troops of this invading force that will survive is ones that will run away right now until they can, and the ones that will surrender. The rest of this invading force will be, will be exterminated. It is what it is. And dear friends, when it comes to Kursk region, let me show you video of second Challenger 2 tank being destroyed. in the Kursk region. Second documented case. Otherwise, in my personal opinion, probably 82nd Brigade of Kiev regime forces lost like maybe 4 or 5 challengers, maybe all challengers that they had during this incursion. And of course, many members of our community know that 82nd Brigade of Kiev regime lost its battle capability and is withdrawn now from Kursk region, according to reports. And well, experts analyzed this video, this short video, and come up with the conclusion that this is a Challenger 2 tank. Barrel of the tank is specific. You cannot mistake it on any other. And also this you know, some features that this tank has. So experts look at this and come up with conclusion that this is second confirmed case of destruction of the Challenger 2 on the battlefield. Overall, Kiev regime received some 14 Challengers from United Kingdom, 14 Challenger 2 tanks. One was destroyed during 2023, this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive in Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sector of the front line. That Challenger was destroyed in Orekhov direction, I believe, not far away from Rabotina, if I remember correctly. And now 2 additional confirmed cases of destruction of these tanks in Kursk region. Although, in my personal opinion, from 14 tanks, if one was destroyed in, not if, but definitely one was destroyed in Zaporozhye sector in 2023, then the regime had 13. From these 13, probably at least 3 or 4 was not in operational condition. And there was reports even in British media outlets, foreign media outlets, that Kiev regime is struggling with maintenance of these tanks because spare parts are, I mean, it takes in some cases several months before some spare parts will arrive. But let's say even if 3-4 tanks were in not operational condition, then another at least 7 to 8 tanks probably was deployed by Kiev regime's 82nd Brigade on initial stages during this incursion into Kursk region. And from these 7 to 8 tanks, I guess majority already being destroyed. But yet again, we only have for now 2 documented cases of destruction of these Challenger tanks. In anyways, of course, it's only matter of time, and all those Challenger tanks will be neutralized. And the entire this incursion force, by the way, in the Kursk region, I still don't understand why some military experts made the predictions on initial stages of this incursion that it will take like 3 months and 6 months before Russia will reestablish control over this territory. On what, based on what these experts were saying that? I don't understand. When me being not military expert, without any military experience, I said straight away that it will take maximum couple of weeks, and the Russian troops will decimate invading force and reestablish control over the border. And that's exactly what is happening, by the way. That's exactly what is happening. Just give it another 2, 3, maximum 4 weeks, and Russian troops will not just reestablish control over the borderline that was breached by Kiev regime forces and NATO forces, but Russian troops will start creating buffer zone in the Sumy region. Russian troops will start liberation of the Sumy region from occupying regime of the collective West. But even though our focus is on Kursk direction, for understandable reasons, very significant developments, of course, are taking place on other sectors of the front line. Also, and first of all, of course, I'm talking about New York-Toretsk direction and Pokrovsk sector, which relatively recently was called Avdiivka sector. When it comes to New York-Toretsk agglomeration, as I said earlier, New York is under full Russian control. There might be some small groups of Kiev regime forces that are trapped somewhere in the city premises, but the town itself is under Russian control, and Russian troops are now conducting operations in vicinity of Nilepovka settlement, this one here, and the Russian troops attacking not just from New York side or from south and western side, but also Russian troops are conducting offensives towards Nilepovka from Artyomovo direction, which is northern eastern side from Nilepovka, and the Russian troops already established control over this mine on the western side of Artyomova, and the forward units, I guess, already are conducting reckoning force operations in Nilepovka itself, settlement itself, or are on outskirts of this village, obviously. And once this town, this small village basically, will be end up under full Russian control, and this will happen before end of next week, just mark my word, then we can clearly say that Toretsk is under at least partial encirclement. And when it comes to Toretsk itself, Russian troops already are conducting offensive operations inside the Toretsk, and Russian troops are advancing from Druzhba and Kirova also towards this settlement. But even bigger developments are taking place. I mean, one may wonder what bigger development. Entire city become under Russian control in Toretsk, New York direction. But trust me, even bigger developments are taking place in Pokrovsk sector of the front line, because Kiev regime's defense lines are absolutely collapsing in this area. Similar is happening in New York direction. Similar has happened in New York area, obviously, but now that town is under Russian control, and in Pokrovsk sector, on daily basis, Russian troops are advancing for a number of kilometers. And for example, now we have reports that settlement of Novozhelana is under full Russian control. Russian troops are in process of establishing control over their Nikolaevka settlement. According to some reports, Nikolaevka is also under full Russian control. And most importantly, Russian troops establish control over their Krutoy Yar and this shaft, by the way. This shaft on the western side of Krutoy Yar, Russian troops advancing in Krasny Yar direction. Russian troops are basically conducting military operation in the Grodovka settlement itself, which is a relatively larger settlement in this area. And take a look, by the way, on the map. If we zoom out from forward positions of the Russian troops from this mine on the western side of Krutoy Yar towards Pokrovsk, it's only about 8 kilometers, by the way. It's only about 7-8 kilometers, and that's it. That's it. Huge progress of Russian troops in this area, and it definitely seems like Kiev regime's defense lines on Pokrovsk sector completely collapsed. They're just unable to hold on to any positions whenever Russian troops are increasing pressure on their enemies. So this is big, of course. With current rate of advance, I guess before end of next week, Russian troops will be in Pokrovsk. At least Russian reckoning and sabotage units will be in Pokrovsk itself. And of course, many members of our community already know, I reported about it, that Kiev regime declared their evacuation from Pokrovsk and surrounding areas. Although in my personal opinion, significant number of residents will probably try to stay if they had such opportunity. And to meet with Russian liberators. Many people do, by the way, on line of contact. Many people try to avoid their evacuation, and they are staying. They are trying to hide in basements to stay safe as much as they can, to wait for arrival of the liberators, Russian liberators. And even Western media outlets are acknowledging that Kiev regime's forces, especially neo-Nazi formations, are complaining that locals are hostile towards them and are trying to avoid evacuation because they are waiting for Russian troops to arrive. So it is true, by the way. And also this is not all, by the way. Russian troops continue their advances in Konstantinovka Ugledar direction, and now we are receiving reports that Russian troops established not just a fire control on this main supply and support line of between Ugledar and Konstantinovka 00532 highway, but Russian troops establish quite a wide area physical control on this road. As you can see, line of contact in this place goes right alongside this road, which is definitely significant progress. Russian troops establish control over this mine. Russian armed forces took a fortified position in the area of the ventilation shaft of the Yuzhno-Donbasskaya mine near Ugledar. So this is their place, by the way, and it's under full Russian control. And of course, when it comes to Donbass, by the way, this region is world famous, of course, for its mines, for its coal industry, obviously. And just look at this, man. Look at this. Ugledar is basically cut off from Konstantinovka. And in relatively short time, it is just seems logical that in relatively short time, Russian troops will establish control in Vadiana settlement. And then we will see encirclement of Ugledar, process of encirclement of Ugledar and Konstantinovka. Although Kiev regime forces may withdraw from Konstantinovka before Russian troops will start conducting this pincer operation. That's a possibility, undoubtedly. But when it comes to Ugledar, that's a whole different story, because this settlement has high-rise apartment buildings. Most likely, Kiev regime will send some additional reinforcements as long as before it can do it, to create some sort of citadel from Ugledar also. But it would not work. It would not work, because lately we clearly notice that Russian troops, as a result of more and more experience of this type of warfare, Russian troops definitely know how to neutralize these so-called citadels. And for example, in New York, by the way, Russian troops established control over these high-rise apartment buildings in hours, in matter of hours. So if Kiev regime hopes that Ugledar will become some sort of another Bakhmut, they are mistaken big time, by the way. Russian troops will finish garrison of Ugledar in relatively short time, when time comes to that. So this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Of course, dear friends, I remind you that if you want to hear about more details on developments on the line of contact, I recommend military channels for that. And of course, channel of Alexander Mercuris, who provides society with public with great analytics on developments, on major developments in this world, including on this proxy war that Western ruling class is waging against Russia. All the links, if you are not familiar with channels that I mentioned, then under this video in description box you can see links to those channels in recommendation list that I have. Let's continue with some other news now. And first of all, RIA Novosti's report about official statement of Russian Foreign Ministry that Kiev regime has begun preparations to conduct strikes on the Kursk nuclear power station. Yesterday I reported about news that is circulating in Russian segment of internet, in Russian media, Russian society, that Kiev regime, with active support of its Western backers, were planning to conduct nuclear provocation, including with the deployment of dirty bombs. And now Russian Foreign Ministry is officially making statements that Kiev regime has begun preparations to conduct nuclear provocations. Russian Defense Ministry reacted on it. Russian Defense Ministry reacted on this, and we have this information that Russia vows harsh response if Ukraine attacks Kursk nuclear power plant. So Russian military will unleash a swift retaliation if Ukraine launches an attack on the Kursk nuclear power plant. The Defense Ministry of Russian Federation has warned the nuclear facility is located not far from their front line following Kiev's cross-border incursion into Russia. And, well, technically speaking, because of the vastness of the Russian Federation, biggest country in this world, of course, Kursk power plant is relatively close to this salient that is temporarily occupied by Ukrainian and NATO invading force. But If you take a look on the map, by the way, this is Kurchatov city, and this is forward positions of the Kiev regime, right? And the distance is at least 40-50 kilometers straight. But of course, roads don't go always on straight lines, right? So by road, you might need some I don't know, 60, maybe 70 kilometers to reach Kurchatov city. So it's definitely not happening. I said from very beginning that yes, most likely one of the tasks of this invading force is to reach Kurchatov city and the Kursk nuclear power station, but it's not happening. Russian troops will decimate this invading force, and we are observing now process of this extermination of the invading terrorist groups. But in terms of long range means that Kiev regime has in its formally Kiev regime in its hands, of course, Kurchatov can be targeted. Kurchatov can be targeted. After all, United Kingdom, France provided formally Kiev regime with Scalp PG and Storm Shadow cruise missiles, long-range cruise missiles that definitely can reach Kurchatov and beyond that from Kiev-controlled territory. And US provided formally, yet again, Kiev regime with HIMARS MLRS systems. Missiles to that system has at least 150 kilometer range, if I remember correctly, and HIMARS launcher is also capable to launch ATACMS missiles, also US-made ATACMS missiles that being delivered to Kiev regime, and those missiles have a range about 300 kilometers, right? So formally, yes, Kiev regime has means to target Russian nuclear facilities in Kurchatov, but in reality it's not Kiev regime. In reality it's NATO, because I said many times before that these long-range weapon systems are operated by NATO troops, not by Kiev regime troops. And Zelensky, by the way, I will get to it in a couple of minutes, but Zelensky at least indirectly confirmed this, probably without understanding that he is basically confirming information that these long-range weapon systems are controlled by and prepared by NATO troops. But anyways, Russian Defense Ministry is very clear that a very harsh response will take place if Russian nuclear facilities are attacked. And situation is so serious that even IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, is recognizing deterioration of their nuclear safety. In this particular case on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, because yesterday Kiev regime targeted Zaporozhye nuclear power plant with the drones, and IAEA experts were on the spot. They were presented in the area of nuclear power plant when this attack from Kiev regime took place, and I saw video and photo of presence of IAEA experts there, and Rafael Grossi had no option to comment on this attack on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and he said that yes, situation is deteriorating when it comes to nuclear safety due to constant attacks on the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, although as always Rafael Grossi did not pointed out that it's a Kiev regime that targeting Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and it's a Kiev regime that endangering basically not just plant, but endangering civilians in Russia, in Ukraine, in Europe, worldwide with these nuclear provocations. Unfortunately, Rafael Grossi definitely acts as a puppet of Western ruling class, as an asset of CIA, and never ever, by the way, can you imagine that? He never ever pointed out that it's Kiev regime that is targeting Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And this is happening with the IAEA, by the way, formally UN body. And I truly don't understand why Russian side, and Russia is of course permanent member of the UN Security Council, I truly don't understand why Russian side is not demanding Rafael Grossi to be removed from his position, man. I mean, what the hell is going on, really? I mean, whoa. how this is even possible, that this CIA asset is still head of IAEA. I don't get it, man. I truly don't understand. But anyways, let's continue. And RT is reporting that, and by the way, Russian high-ranking officials are quite often critical of IAEA, exactly because you never hear statements from this organization, formerly UN organization, that it's Kyiv regime that is shelling Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, which is obvious, by the way. Of course, it's a Kyiv regime that's shelling this plant because Russian side is controlling this plant, for God's sake, right? So there are criticism from Russian high-ranking officials, but I never see even a single statement in UN from Russian representatives or from high-ranking Russian officials that this criminal, Rafael Grossi, has to be removed from this organization because he is a disgrace of humanity. And IAEA is definitely losing its reputation, because who gonna trust IAEA when this dirty bitch, Rafael Grossi, is pointing out that there is a high danger now for nuclear safety in nuclear power plant, but he is not pointing out who the hell is bombing this plant, when he knows perfectly well that it's Ukrainian terrorists, it's a Kyiv terrorist regime, Zelensky's terrorist regime, right? Sorry, dear friends, I get a little emotional, but I mean, it's really nonsense, isn't it? I mean, it's just crazy, man. What the hell is going on in this world, man? How this is even possible, man? I mean, I can understand that even if Russian side will demand this dirty criminal to be removed, Rafael Grossi, from IAEA, he might still maintain his position because US, UK, France will do whatever they can to keep this prostitute in this position. But I mean, I guess it only makes it right if Moscow will demand this dirty bitch to be removed, to save whatever reputation might have IAEA left, if it has any reputation, by the way. I mean, who can trust IAEA? Nobody, man. Nobody. But it is good that these dirty criminals at least acknowledging that, yes, safety can being jeopardized of this nuclear power plant. Let's continue. And RT is reporting that Zelensky is openly criticizes UK's government now. Okay, probably he had some better quality powder, and he went after his Western masters. But this information is very interesting, in my opinion, because indirectly Zelensky confirmed what I was saying, and many others, by the way, for a very, very long time, that all these long-range weapon systems that formerly was delivered to Kyiv regime in reality are operated by NATO forces. But let's go first through this news. So Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky has said his administration will insist that the Western allies take bold steps to support Kyiv's war effort, singling out UK, which once showed real leadership but is now failing behind. In his daily address on Friday, Zelensky expressed his intention to fix their situation with the country's allies, limiting Ukraine's long-range capabilities and preventing Kyiv from fully utilizing the Western-supplied weapons to support its incursion into Kursk region of Russia. And what is interesting in this statement that, well, if it was up to Kyiv regime, by the way, of course they will use those weapons to target not just Kursk nuclear power station, but everything as in the range of those long-range missiles that formally they receive. But they cannot do it because targeting data, maintenance of those missiles and preparations of those missiles for launch are done by NATO personnel, right? And that's why Zelensky is complaining about it. That's why he is complaining that he cannot utilize those weapons the way they want to. And this is also interesting. This is also interesting because yesterday, when I was reporting about possible nuclear provocation of the Kyiv regime, I mentioned that according to some report, London is behind of this provocation. And I guess possibly something has changed, because maybe these preventive statements from Russian side, for example, there were some statements yesterday, and we have statement from Foreign Ministry also, and from Russian Defense Ministry, that Kyiv regime is preparing nuclear provocation, and there will be harsh response. And of course, many media outlets reported that these preparations done with the active support of the West, including London. Maybe these preventive steps from Russian side force authorities in United Kingdom to think again if they really want to be known in this world as a nuclear terrorists. Because everyone understood that if storm shadows were used to target, for example, Kursk nuclear power station or Zaporozhye nuclear power station, entire world will know that this was done by British militaries, with authorization of their government of UK, right? And maybe, just maybe, London is now backing down. Theoretically, it's a possibility, isn't it? Maybe London is backing down now, and Zelensky is not happy about it, because they had a plan in a place that they will conduct strikes on nuclear power stations, and now he cannot do it, because, as I said, man, it's a British military personnel that prepares those missiles for launches. It's a British military personnel that works with the targeting data, provides missiles with targeting data, right? Zelensky and Kyiv regime's forces can do nothing with these missiles without British support. And same goes for French missiles, by the way, French Scalp-EG cruise missiles, and same goes for HIMARS multi-launch rocket systems and their ATACMS missiles. In that case, in case of HIMARS and ATACMS, it's US militaries, right? And intelligence that works with those weapon systems. And Zelensky clearly seems like unhappy that maybe London is backing down, and if that's the case, then I guess France will also will not participate in attacks on a nuclear power plant. Although, by the way, maybe this is just a psyop. Maybe this is just a psyop, and Zelensky was told to come out with the criticism of London, so that after strikes on nuclear power plants, London will have this plausible deniability that, you know what, we were against, even Zelensky said that, but I mean, Kyiv regime's forces still use these storm shadows to conduct these strikes. It will not fly. This kind of explanations will not fly worldwide, because everybody understands that Kyiv regime cannot use those weapons without British support. But who knows what thinking process in London is? You know, maybe they are so out of touch with reality that they think they can fool everybody in this world. Who knows? But it is interesting. It is interesting, and once again, Zelensky is at least indirectly confirming that these long-range weapon systems definitely are under control of NATO and their Western ruling class. Let's continue now, and also RT is reporting that yet another US-made HIMARS multi-launch rocket system was destroyed by Russian Iskander missile strike in Sumy region. Great, by the way, great news. Last couple of days we see significant number of these HIMARS MLRS systems being destroyed, and Kyiv regime's air defense systems being destroyed, which is definitely good news. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting, and if you have not seen videos, dear friends, on my Telegram channel I have published quite a number of those videos with destruction of these HIMARS MLR systems, plenty of artillery systems being destroyed, and also IRIS-T and their Patriot air defense systems also being destroyed. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian FSB, Federal Security Service, opened their criminal case against so-called journalists from Italy that cross border, Russian border, illegally in the Kursk region. Into the part, they went from Kiev control territory into the part of Kursk region that is controlled by invading force, and of course that's a criminal case, that's a crime. You cannot cross border. Russia is not US, by the way. You cannot cross Russian border with impunity. It's just not happening. And criminal case is open now against Italian so-called journalists from Rai Uno or something, some Italian TV propaganda outlet, for crossing from Sumy region, border from Sumy region to Suji area of the Kursk region. And also FSB is looking at to another case of the border crossing when CNN's correspondent Nick Payton-Yolsh crossed border. It seems like I saw some fragments of his video that he made for CNN, and he was reading signs in Russian. He was showing, his operator was filming signs in Russia, and it seems to me they crossed Russian border also illegally, and therefore I guess after investigation will be conducted, most likely criminal case will be opened against this person also. This, what is his name, man? Nick Payton-Walsh. They may don't care about it. They may don't care about it, but now. But this criminal case is gonna stay open forever, by the way. And things might change. And who knows how much they will regret breaking the Russian law tomorrow or day after. And there are also interesting news that Italian propaganda outlet recall its so-called journalists that cross Russian border illegally. They said it's they are recalling them for safety reasons, but in reality, I guess this propaganda outlet don't want to be affiliated with criminal activity or some sort of, maybe, but in any case, those criminals that are disguised as journalists are recalled now and should leave not just Kursk region. Probably they already flee occupied parts of Kursk region, but probably they will flee Ukraine also, or Kiev control territory. Let's see. But everyone should understand that, well, all Russopops worldwide should know that they might celebrate now, but their celebration will last no long. Their celebration is about to end with their tears. All Russophobes should know that worldwide. Nothing is forgotten and nothing is forgiven. Everyone should know that. Anyways, let's continue, and dear friends, before I will share with you some additional news, and there are quite a number of them left, let me notice that this small media project of mine with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram is completely subscriber funded. As you can see, I have no advertising. My channel is not monetized on YouTube. Only way I can sustain these channels, I can continue this work, is support from community. And if you find my work interesting, if you think channel from Russia needs to be presented, news channel, by the way, needs to be presented in this field of news and political commentary, and if you can to support, please consider to do so with donation or through PayPal or Boosty or crypto, by the way, or by subscribing to my Boosty also, or Patreon page. This is Boosty, by the way. Through this platform you can donate, you can subscribe also, and I have some bonus videos here like on Patreon. And this is my Patreon page. which is much more developed than Boosty. And I have plenty of plans, by the way, to make my Patreon page even more interesting. So if you can, please subscribe. Subscription on Patreon starts from $5 a month, and then it's up to you for how long you will support, or I mean, you can up your level of support, or you know, it's all up to you, by the way. So this is my Patreon, that's how it looks. Also plenty of bonus videos or extra content here. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And Patreon is definitely very important because it gives me opportunity to know what kind of funds I have to operate for the next month. It's a monthly subscription. While with donations, you never know. One day you may have donation, next day you may not, next day you may have, and then not. Although, of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who already supported and who continues to support my work and this small media project. Thank you very much. That's been said, let's continue with some additional news. And TASS News Agency is reporting that Hamas made a statement. Hamas representative in Lebanon stated that recent negotiations in Doha, Qatar, on to achieve a peace in Palestine failed basically, and no significant achievements were reached, which is unfortunate news, of course. No precise details, at least for this moment, but unfortunately, as it was expected by many, those talks in Doha did not achieve much, and hostilities therefore most likely will continue between Israel and Palestine. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Green Party in US nominated officially, it's a presidential candidate and also a candidate for vice president. So presidential candidate will be Jill Stein, highly respected, as I understand, the person in United States. I'm not an expert, of course, on internal politics of US, obviously, but I do pay attention to developments in worldwide and in US included. And whenever I see some articles or some comments about this person, Jill Stein, these comments are usually very polite. So she is highly respected individual, as I understand. And also her running mate will be Butcher Ware, professor of California University. So, well, good luck to them. Professor Butch Ware. I don't know nothing about Butcher Ware. I heard the first time this name, but I of course have read before about Jill Stein. So yes, good luck to them. Of course, there is not even a 0.1% chance that they will manage to achieve victory because of this corrupt political system in the US, but at least this information demonstrates that not everybody in US agrees with this, are happy with this corrupt system, and they want some changes. And people in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe sometime even millions, are voting for alternative candidates from alternatives to Democratic and Republican candidates. But of course, main candidates are from Democrats and Republicans. That's how that system works. And behind both, in this case, behind Trump and behind Kamala Harris, usually, if you dig in, you might find their same donors, same groups of interests, and that's why questions are rising: who is really running the US? Well, some may argue that, well, in case of Trump, situation may be a little bit different because deep state hates him. Yes, some part of deep state definitely hates him, but other part, not really. But anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that Trump basically blamed Kamala Harris that as a vice president, she didn't do nothing in last 3.5 years to deal with inflation in the country, which is well, yesterday I saw some numbers, by the way, and inflation is really high in US. On some goods, prices went up since the pandemic, by the way. Prices went up for 30, in some cases 50%, which is huge, especially if you take in account that US is used to low inflation, or used to be, it used to be the case like years ago when inflation was just about 1% a year. Prices were stable, and now this huge inflation, which I guess makes many people very angry and unhappy because they never see anything like that before in their lives. And well, I guess Trump is correct. I don't know how Kamala Harris if even understands what inflation is. So probably if she does not understand topic, she will do nothing about it. Although now, during the presidential race, she will talk about inflation quite a lot, I guess. And, well, Trump has to be careful, by the way, because he will be called racist. Because in US, it's quite unique situation, isn't it? That in US, for whatever reason, every single topic comes down to race. I don't know why they did it. I don't understand. I don't think US society is particularly racist than any other societies, but why politicians are and some public figures are connecting every single topic to race, I don't know, man. It's some anomaly in my understanding. It's not normal. It's absolutely not normal. And I'm quite sure, by the way, Trump will be called racist many times for criticizing Harris, just for criticizing Harris, because she's Indian and Afro-American, or how you say in US. Who cares, man? She is Indian, Afro-American, or I don't know, man, Indo-European or Mongoloid or whatever. Who cares, man? She is vice president, and she has to answer to some questions what she was doing for last 3.5 years. But yet again, I just mark my word, by the way, Trump will be called racist every time he will criticize Kamala. And by the way, people that will criticize Trump and call him racist probably don't know, majority of them probably don't know that, for example, Indians are very same race that Trump is. And there is no white and black race. I mean, many people unfortunately don't really understand that, especially in US, as far as I understand, that there is no such a races as a white and black. It's not non-existent. It's an Indo-European race, by the way. And Indians, me, Norwegians, for example, or I don't know, people in Iceland are Indo-Europeans. And differences in skin coloring don't make us other race. We are Indo-Europeans, all of us, by the way. That's why it's called Indo-European race. But yet again, man, it's strange. I don't really understand why everything is connected to race. Just recently, there was in UK this billboards all everywhere, and I report about it that was calling for white male to give up something. And why you are pointing out white male? What the hell is that? It's racist. in that case, right? So you can be racist against Indo-Europeans. It's okay in US, in UK, to harass Indo-Europeans because there is no such a race as a white race. And if you say anything critical about anybody from other races, then you are racist. That's how logic works in US, or I don't know, man. Something is wrong with those so-called politicians and public figures that are constantly talking about that stuff, man. People should be judged, and people are judged by their actions, man. Who cares what race you are, man? RIA Novosti is reporting that Elon Musk, making some bold predictions, by the way, and I have to disagree with him because he predicts starvation to take place in US if Kamala Harris will win, and will go ahead with some programs that been announced by her camp. I mean, I can understand that Musk is a supporter of the Trump. He is definitely against Democrats, against ideology that being pushed over the public in US by Democrats, neolibs. But I mean, to go this far and to say that US may end up in in starvation if Democrats will win, well, that's quite a statement, man. No. After all, US is the #1 economy in this world, and I don't think there is even slight risks that US citizens will have no food or something. It's not happening, man. And thanks God it's not happening, man. This is quite scary prediction, really, that Musk is making. RIA Novosti is reporting that in terms of budget deficits, by the way, Trump is a record breaker. Trump is a record breaker because during his presidency, US budget deficit reached 6.6 trillion US dollars. So he was printing money, his administration was printing money in unprecedented scale, basically, and still, by the way, despite all the statements that Biden's economy was doing good and this and that, deficit was so big that it reached overall, 6.6 trillion, and right now, US deficit, US debt, overall debt, is like 35 trillion, isn't it? So, interesting. You know what? Let me translate this news. I'll give you a little more details on that. Unbelievable, man. Trillions. Can you imagine that? The budget deficit in US is in trillions. So the US budget deficit during the Joe Biden's presidency has become the highest in the history of this indicator. 6.6 trillion. RIA Novosti calculated after studying data from US Treasury Department. US government expenditures for 3.5 years under Biden exceeded revenues by 6.6 trillions, their highest in the history of keeping these statistics. Thus, in 2021, the indicator was 2.8 trillion budget deficit, while it accounted for 30% of the GDP. The following year, in 2022, their negative balance decreased to 1.4 trillion, or 6.3% of their US GDP. But last year, in 2023, on the contrary, it grew to 1.7 trillion, or 7.6% of the GDP. For the first 6 months of this year, 2024, budget deficit amounted to 758 billion, basically. And the share of GDP calculated on a rolling basis is 5.5%, and I guess before end of this year this number deficit for this year will probably reach, I don't know, man, definitely trillion, but it's gonna be 1.5 trillion, maybe more. In any case, some unbelievable numbers, isn't it? Some unbelievable numbers, by the way. And how administrations in Washington deal with these budget deficits? Logical. It seems logical to cut on the spendings, right? It just seems logical to cut on the spendings. But they don't do this. They increase spendings year-on-year terms, and to cover this deficit, they are printing dollars. They are printing and printing and printing these dollars, by the way. And at some point, when BRICS member states will finally introduce to this world alternative financial and banking system, and when world no longer will be dependent on Western financial and banking system or Western world reserve currencies like dollar and EU, well, then something big is definitely going to happen, by the way. Something big. And dollar will definitely undergo some devaluation, 100%. And US will face not just inflation, but hyperinflation for quite a while, for quite a number of years. US will be in severe depression. US economy will be in severe depression. It's inevitable. Of course, US will survive that. And their economy that will emerge in US after that crisis will be stronger and better prepared for and more adequate, let's say. But meanwhile, it's only gonna get worse before it gets any better. That's for sure. Let's continue. A few more news. TASS news agency is reporting that China is increasing imports from North Korea, by the way. And for example, from in first 6 months, from January to July, for first 7 months of this year, imports from North Korea to China increased 24%, which is interesting, and it reached $198 million. Of course, number is relatively small, obviously, but it is interesting that China is increasing its economical cooperation with North Korea, and most likely because Russia is doing the same. You know, in the West, there was a narrative that North Korea is a client state of China, and Pyongyang is taking orders from Beijing and only acts under Beijing's orders, which is not the case, by the way. And North Korea was unique in that regards. It always was able to act relatively independent from Moscow and Beijing. And now, because relationships improving between Moscow and Pyongyang significantly, of course, Beijing wants to, get involved in this process also. Understandably so, by the way. It's all good. It's all good, especially for people of North Korea, because maybe Beijing will encourage Chinese companies to create second or third tier branches that will work with North Korea without fear of being sanctioned by the Western world. That's what Russia most likely will do, and probably already is doing. And it will be, first of all, beneficial for people, ordinary people of North Korea. They will get better opportunities, more opportunities, and I feel good about it, man. I feel good about it because of this regime in North Korea, specific regime because of the specific system, unfortunately. And there are also Western sanctions, by the way. We should keep in mind that North Korea is heavily sanctioned also. And because of all these negatives combined, people were suffering, in my understanding. People were experiencing significant difficulties in North Korea. And now, if Russia and China will fast-track economical cooperation with North Korea, it's going to benefit people, ordinary people, greatly, and I'm happy for that. You know, we should always be happy whenever something good is happening to ordinary people, because we have only us, by the way. These elites never gonna care about us, you know. Only we can care about ourselves, and we should always realize, no matter where we live, by the way, in Russia, in Germany, in Chile, or India, or, you know, Iceland or Greenland. I mean, we should be all one united force. We are the people, for God's sake, man, and we should care about each other. The elites, if we are lucky and if we have more or less okay elites in our countries, okay, they will try to do some good for us, for societies, obviously. But in general, I mean, elites are living in a very different world, in my understanding. They don't see real life, or they see real life only through these armored glasses of their limousines, right? In many cases, not always, but in many cases. I know there was a president in one of the Latin American countries, by the way, poorest president ever. He did not even have a car, you know. So elites are different also, obviously, but still, by the way, we should always keep in mind that, I mean, we should be allies, man, ordinary people worldwide. We only have each other, man. And let's continue. Today is sorry for being a little philosophical, dear friends. It's a Sunday, so you know. And finally, I will share with you this information that there was a 7-point magnitude earthquake, 7.0 point of magnitude earthquake in Kamchatka region of the Russian Federation. Wonderful place, by the way. I will argue it's one of the most beautiful places on this planet, Kamchatka. It's a volcanoes there, by the way, live volcanoes. And on one of the articles, I even read the news that on Kamchatka right now there are several volcanoes that are active, and I saw today report that volcano erupted in one of the islands, one of the on Kuril archipelago. So it's a very active region, by the way, geologically, and a wonderful place. No tsunami warnings or anything like that. I did not see reports on that, but yes, there was a 7 magnitude earthquake, which might mean that, who knows, maybe some big eruption on one of the volcanoes is about to happen. Maybe, don't know. But I guess it's important news to know, because this area, by the way, Kamchatka, then if you go down from that area, it's Japan, also very seismically active. So whenever earthquakes are happening in that part of the world, of course, many people pay attention, especially scientists. So it is important. And I just wanted to highlight that Kamchatka is one of the most beautiful places in this world, by the way. If I had the opportunity, I definitely want, together with family, to travel to Kamchatka to see all these volcanoes and geysers and all that stuff. It's wonderful, man. I mean, check on internet, by the way. There are quite nice videos from Kamchatka, and the tourism industry is getting, you know, it is expensive now it is expensive now, but as tourism industry will further develop, including in Kamchatka region, I believe prices will come down and more people will manage to afford traveling there, because it's a super wonderful place, rather. Anyways, little long update, but hopefully you will find it interesting and informative, maybe a little entertaining. That will be good. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, any topic, and if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life, or on internet, on any platforms that you're actively using. And yes, that's it. If you like my work and want to support, all the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And if I manage to deal with some technical issues, as I said in the beginning, I will have a live stream about 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I hope you will join the conversation. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.